Hey folks, how's it going? Sergio here. So today I'd like to give you guys my review on the amazing Carvin DC800 8-string guitar. I'll be talking about the obvious features and the not so obvious facts that gave me, at least myself, a little bit of a hard time when I was doing my own research. And I'll also be finalizing with some isolated sound samples in which I try to demonstrate the capabilities of this guitar in a metal context in both the rhythm and lead perspectives, okay? So stick around, hope you find it useful. Just a note, this video is a little long and time to sift through the whole thing, great, but if you don't, you'll eventually see this link, which means we're in a section that I don't consider essential to the DC800. So you can safely click it and it'll fast forward you to what I consider the next essential section. Okay, so before we start, I think it's worth noting that Carvin offers a plethora of options for all the parts that are customizable on their guitars. And hence, I think it would be a little bit pointless for me to try to enumerate all those options, simply because the list is huge and because that list is pretty much updated on a regular basis. So I think the best you can do from that perspective is to go to the online guitar builder at the address that you see here right now for the DC800 and check those up-to-date options yourself. Okay, so let's get down to business. The DC800 is an extended scale, extended range 8-string guitar with a dual cutaway body style, neck-through construction, 24 frets, hip shot bridge, a 4 left, 4 right tuner configuration, 27-inch scale, a flat top body style, straight edges, and arm bevel. Now there's obviously more to it, but I just listed all the features, all the main features of the guitar that are not customizable. Alright, so I'd like to now talk about the options of this guitar that you can actually customize. Okay, I like to keep it simple and basically just mention either the options that you get by default on the standard DC800 or maybe the options that I have in this particular guitar right now. Okay, so one of the first things that you can do is customize the body wood, right? The default is alder. You have many options to pick from. You can customize the fretboard wood as well. The default is ebony. You can customize or you can change the construction of the neck. The default, I believe, is a 1-piece maple. In this particular case, I have a 5-piece maple with walnut stripes. You can also select the color of the hardware. You can select from black, chrome, or gold at the moment. You can also customize your inlays, right? You can go from no inlays to maybe diamonds, blocks, dots, and a few other options that they provide. And you can also choose the material for your inlays, right? Examples of that could be mother of pearl, abalone, black acrylic. And as for the frets, you can actually customize two things. You can actually select the size of the frets, like from small, medium, and jumbo. And you can also select the material that you want your frets to be made of. The options so far are nickel, stainless, or they recently introduced the EVO gold fret wire, right? Now, I also wanted to illustrate the main construction on this guitar, and you will excuse me, this is not a DC800, this is actually a DC700. However, all the guitars in the DC series share the same main construction, right? So you will be able to see the same thing on the DC800. Here's the main neck, as I said, neck through construction. In this particular case, 5 pieces, maple and walnut, and these is a default alder wings or the body wood. And in this particular case, a nice piece of spalted maple. And one of the most interesting things that you can customize in the guitar is the finish, right? In this particular example, in this particular guitar, I have a solid white color, but you can select other solid ones like metallic colors. You can go to translucent colors that will basically showcase the wood that you selected for the guitar. You can also customize the top wood of your guitar, but I'll talk about that a little later because that deserves a little bit more time. and you can even have deep triple step finishes. You can also customize the coat of the entire guitar, right? Body and neck separately. The default is gloss, but you can actually request for satin, or in the case of natural wood, such as in this case, you can select tung oil, right? So you can customize separately customize the finish on the headstock. You could make it match the same finish on the body, or you can give it a totally different look independently, right? You can also change the color of the Carvin logo. You can also change not only the color of the truss rod cover, but also the engraving on it. You can pretty much put whatever you want there. And also with the standard options, this guitar is very, very light. The listed average is 8.25 pounds, which makes it comfortable to hold. And as with most dual cutaway guitars, you'll notice that it's very, very well balanced. Okay, so when it comes to the neck, I'd like to mention that overall this is one of the most comfortable necks that I played when it comes to 8-string guitar to some 7-string guitars out there. The facts that I have is that at the nut, the neck is about 2 inches and 3/32 of an inch wide, and at the 24th fret is pretty much 3 inches wide. For neck thickness, we have 0.79 inches around the 1st fret and 0.88 inches around the 12th fret. Regardless of those numbers, this neck is pretty flat and comfortable. I can easily perform 5 fret stretches around this area all the way to the bottom string, right? And I can easily switch to like a blues position here, like a blues grip with a thumb up, and perform really easy and comfortable bendings. Right? As far as access to the high frets is concerned, it's super smooth. I mean, as with most neck through guitars, there is no heel, or very minimum. I mean, the transition between neck and body is pretty seamless. I'm hoping that I can illustrate that here. There's nothing in the way, right? And you can see that I can get access all the way to the highest frets on these strings and all the way to the lowest strings with pretty much minimum effort. Okay, so standing position here. Okay, so something very interesting that you can also customize in the neck area is the fingerboard radius, right? By default, you get a 20-inch radius, which is pretty flat, right? But you also have the option of selecting a 14-inch radius, which would probably give it a slightly more curvy feel. As I mentioned earlier, this guitar has an extended 27-inch scale. Scale is defined as the distance between the bridge and the nut, right? Now, these extended range guitars benefit from such an extended scale mainly on the lower tones, right? Simply because the string has a little bit more room to vibrate, right? And hence the lower tones sound less flabby and fuller compared to shorter or more conventional scales such as 25.5 or 24 3/4. Now, there's a side effect to this extended scale. In order to maintain the standard tuning on a longer distance, the strings have to be tighter. I particularly notice this more on the higher strings. It's a little bit more difficult to bend and to do bending and vibrato, right? Your mileage may vary. Carvin ships these guitars standard with a gauge of 10 to 68. By default, the DC800 comes loaded with 2 880 pickups, right? Which are 2 humbucking, soap bar-sized active pickups. Now, unlike other active pickup manufacturers out there, this active system, which was designed by Carvin from the ground up for their guitars, has the preamp for the pickups actually external. It's actually housed in the control cavity of the guitar. And you can see that it also comes built with a dedicated battery compartment. Now, having the external preamp is an approach that Carvin describes as, well, desirable because They wanted to design the best preamp possible without being constrained by the space of the pickups themselves, right? And hence achieve the best balance of tone, feel, and noise. Okay, so by default you can get these pickups in black, but if you give them a call, you can get two more options. You can select these pickups in white covers, or you can get the new passive pickups altogether and bypass this active system, right? Okay, so what is option 50? Again, this is not a DC800 specific option. It applies to all Carvins, but I think it's worth noting it or mentioning it because it's going to give newcomers a better idea on how far they can go on the customization of their acts, right? Option 50 is pretty much any customization that Carvin is willing to do for your guitar that is not in the standard catalog. There's only one way to find out if they're willing to do it or not, and that's by giving them a call, and they'll tell you if, well, number one, they'll do it, number two, if that makes the guitar non-returnable, or it's returnable with stocking fee, right, and whatnot. They have become pretty relaxed with those policies. For example, this is an option 50 guitar. I asked them for a particular custom finish. I also asked them only for one signature inlay on the 12th fret made of abalone, and I also asked them to not wire this tone control. Why? Because I just wanted this guitar to be only one volume configuration, but I still wanted to have this control here in case I wanted to use it in the future, or maybe just the whole, right? I could change the pickup configuration and maybe add a different switch and whatnot. I wanted to have this option here. And then you can go from there, right? Some people actually provide their own woods for the top, or for the headstock, or for the neck, right? And other people have asked not for a 2 pickup configuration, but only 1. That's possible. Before we finalize, I'd like to thank a few people in the Carvin team that have supported me in one way or another. The first of them is Chris Hong on the sales front for his invaluable input. Mr. Manny Huerta, artist relations and social media. That's the guy responsible for holding such a great integration with the online community. And last but not least, Mr. Jeff Kiesel, the man behind this whole thing, right? So this is it. I hope you enjoy it. I'll see you next time. And without further ado, let's move on to the samples.
Thank you.